Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the portfolio. Again, want to start off the video by saying thank you to all the subscribers, all the viewers out there showing support for the channel. Immensely appreciate it. If you guys do like the content, if you guys do like the video series, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And if you are a subscriber, make sure to hit that bell button to get alerts and updates on all new content posted on the channel. Today I want to continue talking about Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin profitability, by once again following along with the S9 Antminer, currently the best piece of dedicated hardware out there for the casual Bitcoin investor. You can essentially buy this piece of equipment, hook it up to a power supply, join a mining pool, and you are generating Bitcoin with the machinery. In doing so, however, there are a number of things you need to take into consideration before jumping in and buying these pieces of equipment. They are very cost heavy. Upfront costs can be in the thousands of dollars, $3,000 for one machine, and if you want to expand your operations, we are looking at tens of thousands of dollars. And there's also a continual arms race with these pieces of machinery. Each new generation can mine the calculations and compute the calculations so much more quickly that the old equipment has very, very high depreciation values as well. So something that might have been making 2 to 3 Bitcoin per month last year may only be making a fraction of a Bitcoin this month, just because of the continual arms race with the equipment. Last year's generation just doesn't have the computing power as the newer generations, and more people that employ these pieces of equipment, the overall hash rate goes up and yours goes down in comparison, and as such you can make less Bitcoin. And we'll kind of go through that when we talk about the algorithm that computes a payback period, essentially how many days you need to mine with a piece of equipment. This video focusing on the S9 Antminer before it pays for itself and you are essentially making profit after that. Again, lots of things to take into consideration. So the S9 Antminer, currently the best piece of equipment, but it has very high upfront cost. Typically, when Bitcoin mining wasn't as popular as it is now because of the drastic increase in the price of Bitcoin, you could go on to the original manufacturer's website, buy a piece of equipment. It's essentially sent out to you. As I've talked about on other videos, there's been some controversy about exactly how they were doing that. There was a lot of pre-orders, and essentially during the pre-order time, they were mining with your machinery after you've already paid for it, making those Bitcoins, developing new and updated machinery, and as soon as those pieces started coming online, they would ship out the obsolete machinery and just kind of continuing to do that moving forward. Big controversy about that. But because of the popularity, typically you cannot buy directly from the manufacturer. You can buy, for example, off eBay. But here, as you can imagine, price and demand kind of go hand in hand. So the more demand for something, the higher the price. So you can't buy these for the original manufacturer's cost. You have to buy these at sometimes even 2 to 3 times the original cost of the machinery, just because they're so profitable right now. So there's very large upfront costs. And also, electricity is a big deal with these pieces of machinery. They're essentially like running a computer at 100% load for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, continuously mining coins. So there's a very, very large energy cost. And depending on where you live with the United States, these costs can be drastically different. If you live, for example, in the Northeast, or maybe in California, Arizona, Texas, you're going to be paying a very, very high rate of electricity cost, as well as the cooling considerations. So not only do the machines use a lot of electricity, but you also have to cool these machines because they run essentially like little heaters. If you've ever had a computer in a small confined dorm room or other type of enclosed space, you know how much heat they put off. Now just imagine that computer times 100. That's really how much heat they put off. They are very, very intense because they're going through these calculations. In doing so, they're generating a lot of heat. And actually, some Bitcoin miners, myself included, when I was mining Litecoin in the winter time, I essentially did not have to use my heater. The machines, the GPUs I was using for Litecoin, but these machines as well, S9 Antminer and all the other derivative miners, will essentially be space heaters in any home. So you have to take that into consideration. The mining calculations, the machinery use of electricity, as well as the cooling costs associated with that as well. Typically air conditioning, which is also going to be using a lot of electricity. But a lot of people also try to put these in basements or other places where the electricity costs won't be as intense for trying to cool down these pieces of machinery as well. So you have the upfront cost, you have the electricity cost, and the other big thing that determines the payback period is the Bitcoin price itself. So as you can see here, the Bitcoin price has been rising dramatically. I have the last month's worth of prices here, and you can see at one point it got down to $6,000. We're currently over $12,000. I thought it was going to bubble around 10,000 or so. That has not happened. The price has continued to increase, and because of that, profitability has also drastically increased as well, as you can imagine. And really the algorithm, again, there's upfront costs, there's electricity costs, but the big key determinant whether any of these machines, the S9 Antminer included, is profitable is really the price of Bitcoin. The higher that price goes, the payback period will drop drastically, and you'll be able to pay off your upfront costs as well as electricity costs very, very quickly. And as you can imagine, if the Bitcoin price does pull back at all, those payback periods, those costs associated with mining go up dramatically. So we have the upfront cost, we have the electricity cost, we have the price of Bitcoin. So let's kind of take a look at exactly what the calculations are all about. There's calculators online that you can go through and kind of go through and seeing if this is going to be a profitable endeavor or not. And they're fairly nice as well because you can plug in any piece of machinery. I currently have plugged in the S9 Antminer, but you can do this for any piece of machinery, and even machinery that's not running at optimal speed. So a lot of these machines will have sort of a rated hash rate on them, but depending on how old they are and other factors related to mining, especially the mining pool, you might not get that top rate. So you can also plug in whatever your particular machine is doing to get the exact statistics, payback period, electricity cost, Bitcoin generated per day, to really hone in on exactly if this is going to be a profitable endeavor for you or not. So as you can see up on screen here, we have a calculator that has kind of configured all of the key statistics here. So for the S9 Antminer, the hash rate is 14,000 gigahash per second, and that's really going to be determining whether or not this particular piece of equipment is going to be profitable. Actually, that should be terahash. It should be 14,000 terahash per second. You can see the power. So currently, one S9 Antminer consumes 1,375 watts. That is going to be a little bit different depending on your machine as well. Some of the newer machines will have a little bit less watt rate. Some of the older machines will have a little bit higher, but average about 1,375 watts that you'll be expecting to run the machinery. Bitcoin price as well. Currently, as you can see here, the Bitcoin price is 12,570. And depending on that price, it's going to change the variables with regards to payback period quite dramatically. And then when we put all those numbers in, so the hash rate is really how fast calculations can be processed by the machine, power, how much electricity the machine is using itself. And this is excluding the cost of cooling. So that cost per day on electricity will have to be increased a bit if you are using lots of air conditioning. If you are in hotter climates which require that, you'll also have to configure that, and you might have to double that cost per day. So the hash rate, power, Bitcoin price, you'll get basically a return per day. This is how many Bitcoins you are generating per interval times the price of Bitcoin. So currently per day, you're generating $28.78 with the S9 Antminer. The cost per day, again, only electricity cost with the machine itself, $3.96. The profit ratio, as you can see there, is quite tremendous, quite remarkable, 730%. And then if we take a look at some other return intervals as well, return per week, you can see $202.46 per week, return per month, $863.47, and return per year, this is quite remarkable here, $10,578.33. And if you kind of go back before, an average cost of one of these particular pieces of machinery can be anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000. You can see that you can more than pay for yourself, pay for the Bitcoin mining hardware for your operation in any given year based on current prices. And again, the calculations here are kind of assuming electricity costs average about 9 cents per kilowatt and an upfront cost of about $3,500 per S9 Antminer. So that's what's really kind of going into all of these calculations here for cost per day and for return per day. You can see the payback period here currently only 48 days. So if you were to mine with this piece of equipment for 48 days straight, you'd essentially make up all of your costs and everything after that would be profit. Again, assuming that the return per day is higher than your cost per day, which it should be, given the current price of Bitcoin. And if we take a look at this piece of machinery over time, again, I've been kind of following along for 10 weeks now with the S9 Antminer, and you can see when we started off in week 1, the payback period is 121 days, and you can see how we progressed through each of the weeks until week 10 here, kind of going up and down a bit, really staying fairly stable there for quite some time, 110, 109 days to 118, 19, 21 days or so. And then you can see in week 8, week 9, and week 10 the dramatic decrease in the payback period. Again, the payback period being how many days you need to run this piece of equipment straight to make back your investment. And you can see now currently it's only 48 days. That's quite remarkable. So essentially you have to run your piece of machinery for a month and a half. Again, if you can get it for $3,500 or so, and your electricity costs are about 9 cents per kilowatt, you only have to run that machinery for 48 days before you pay it back. Then everything after that is going to be profit. If we go back to the graph on profit per day, per week, per month, per year, you can see the tremendous profit possibility with just one of these pieces of machinery. Let's say you had 10. You're looking at $100,000 a year. Again, at current variables, current cost per day, current return per day, $100,000 per year if you had 10 of these pieces of machinery. Upfront costs would be quite substantial, about $30,000 to $40,000, but that return per year is actually quite ridiculous right now. I'm quite surprised. So again, very, very profitable, and as the price of Bitcoin continues to go up, these will become even more profitable. I've been trying to get my hands on a few S9 Antminers, have not been able to do so just because the demand has increased so dramatically over the past just few weeks even. Yeah, it's quite remarkable. So again, just wanted to do a quick update video here. So really, it is very, very profitable right now to mine Bitcoin. And again, a lot of this has to do with the price in Bitcoin. If there is a bubble, which again, I thought was about $10,000, but it's really shot past that, shot past 11,000, past 12,000, working on $13,000 now. But if there is a bubble and that price of Bitcoin does come back quite dramatically, then these payback periods will rise dramatically as well. Maybe even to the point where you'll never be able to pay back the piece of machinery or the upfront costs in getting into the mining itself. But right now, it's extremely profitable. Week 10, you can see 48 days. Week 1 was 121 days. So even on the payback period, it's coming down quite dramatically. So a month and a half of mining and you make back your piece of machinery. Again, if you can get it for $3,500, but it's quite difficult. I've been trying to get a piece of machinery for a reasonable cost. Just can't do it. Any costs I've seen are around the $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 range. So you can see that payback period here configured at $3,500, but even at $6,000, you're only looking at about 90 to 100 days of payback period, which is quite reasonable. 3 months, 4 months, and you pay back your equipment. So yeah, just wanted to do a quick update video here. I don't want to make the video too long, so I'll kind of end it here. Again, if you guys have any comments on any questions you might have, anything to add to the discussion here, please do so in the comment threads. Always appreciate you guys when you do that to help update the video, make sure it's the most informative and accurate video as possible. So yeah, kind of with that, I'll end the video. As always, if you guys enjoy my videos, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And until next video, we'll see you then.